How's it going, people? I'm here once again. So, this is going to be my podcast on Brandon Johnson's Civil War on America. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about this that's been happening. We've been having a lot of riots go on in Portland, a lot of riots go on in Chicago. It's been pretty bad recently. A lot of this rhetoric's been bad, but first I want to open up with some news that I just got. Now, I know that the last video I had was regarding why I went to war with Roma. So I was given information from of course, obviously, very close people, that this woman, Roma, had backed out of her debate with Andrew Wilson. And I mean, that could have been a definite podcast for sure. I wouldn't mind doing that, but Roma backing out, I mean, she's having a pattern right now. She backed out of the debate with me and wanted to charge me. And then now I suppose she wanted to charge Andrew Wilson as well, too. So, I mean, these two things are true. She also backed out of the debate with Rachel Wilson. So, considering all of this, I think that I don't even know if it's right for me to say this, but I'm just going to say this. I think that she has some mental health issues. I totally do believe that she does. And I don't think that she's competent in a debate. I do believe I've seen her on panels before and engage in debates on panels, but showing up to a debate that's slated as a moderated debate is a whole nother thing entirely. Now, her backing out, I almost saw this because a lot of her followers were saying, well, not even her followers, a lot of people on my side were saying, I bet that she rage quits. Well, look at what happened. She didn't even have to do that because apparently she's lying and say that she never set up a time for Andrew Wilson or set up a time with even Brian Atlas from whatever to set up a date. Nobody laid down a date when there was a video on repeat. I actually posted, Rachel Wilson posted this, but I posted this to my social media showing that she did set a date for the 10th. And now she's saying, oh, well, we were trying to see if we could set it up for December or something. She could have had all the time in the world and never still won this debate. She could have had Andrew Wilson with narcolepsy showing up, maybe having one sentence every 5 minutes, and Andrew still would have whooped her ass. Like this would have been bad. I saw it from the get-go. It would have been a train wreck, and it's just bad. I mean, I think that everybody else probably would agree with me that's tuning in that this would have been a bad deal for her. She would have lost, and I don't think I would have foreseen a W happening on her end at all. I mean, the thought that she could beat Andrew Wilson in a debate is insane to me. We're going to get started with the stream here. As I set up, hopefully everybody had a good week so far. I have a debate since I'm still loading some stuff right now as we speak. I have a debate coming up this Friday or Saturday on the Raging Tomato, and it's going to be a novelty debate. This debate's going to be probably an easy W for me. Well, it's definitely an easy W. The reason why I say probably is because, I mean, it's obvious. I think there's like a 99.9% chance that I'll win. I'll explain this. The person that I'm debating is Ryan Radical Coder. I'm trying not to laugh too hard at this. I'm debating Ryan Radical Coder on, and this is the debate prompt, something akin to this. This is what he's espousing on his end for the debate prompt. Stay-at-home dads are more optimal than stay-at-home moms. Just let that sit there for a little bit and just imagine him trying to win this debate against me. Matter of fact, have him try to win this debate against somebody that's never done a debate before. Think about the prompt. Stay-at-home dads are more optimal than stay-at-home moms as moms go off to work and dads stay at home. That's what Ryan Radical Coder will be defending this Friday or Saturday, whichever date that Sarah chooses or picks for the Raging Tomato podcast. This is going to be an easy W. It's extreme. I don't even know. I'm still going to study because you never underestimate your opponents. This debate is going to be not only easy, but I feel like it's going to be like one of those novelty joke. I just want to label it that. Like it's like a novelty / joke thing that's going to happen. I don't know what I'd call said thing, but a debate, a novelty / joke debate is going to happen between me and Radical Coder on this prompt. And that's the thing, though. It's going to be very interesting. I don't see how anybody could think that stay-at-home dads are more optimal than stay-at-home moms. I mean, who has the babies? Who are the only people that can have the babies? I mean, if the wife is the breadwinner, what happens when the breadwinner gets pregnant? I can go on. This debate is going to be such an easy dunk. It's just crazy on its face. So going into the topic, I've got a lot of videos that I have to show you. We're going to run through some riot footage, and also the fact that Brian Johnson is a complete idiot. It's almost like he wants to secede from the states as this Democrat allegiant person. To me, I think that even the black community there in Chicago is going against him. And I can demonstrate that too, because there's been an outcry from the black community. And I'm not saying that it's Republican or Democrat. It's just the black community that's just turning their backs and saying, no, we don't support this at all. And we're going to go into the rhetoric right now. So I'm going to explain a little bit what's going on. I'm pretty sure that you guys already know, but I have to bring up a couple of videos because this is very entertaining and very interesting to even look at this. For one, because of the subject matter. It's just crazy. On its face, we're going to go into this whole topic on not just the riots, because there's riots in, I would say, LA that are going to happen and do happen still in Portland, Oregon, and even Chicago right now. It's very interesting when we look at the direction, when we look at the cities and people following this direction from their councilmen, the government, the governor in those cities. I would say Newsom, Johnson's another one of them. It just ends up being, people that are just fighting Trump and really stabbing their people in the back. There's a lot of this going on right now, which we'll dive into. So right now, I just want to show you a video right now that's going to cover a lot of this.
Also signed today by Chicago's mayor in reaction to some of the increasing ICE activity.
It is an effort that hasn't stopped the federal push into the city. WGN's Emmy Victor has details on this developing story.
In light of increased immigration enforcement in Chicago, a new executive order signed Monday by Mayor Brandon Johnson designates ICE-free zones within the city.
City property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
The order prohibits ICE agents from using city-owned property to make arrests. Johnson says signs will be posted at city properties, including in the parking lots of Chicago Public Schools and Chicago Park District field houses.
The fact is, we cannot allow them to rampage throughout our city with no checks or balances. Nobody is above the law. If we break the law, you should be held accountable. If Congress will not check this administration, then Chicago will.
This is the third executive order issued by the mayor since the Department of Homeland Security launched Operation Midway Blitz in the Chicago area. Each has tried to limit ICE from operating in the city. Since early September, the agency has reportedly arrested nearly 1,000 people. They've also been involved in 2 shootings, including one in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood on Saturday. Johnson has repeatedly said that Chicago police will not coordinate with ICE during its operation here. In a statement, DHS blasted Johnson over the weekend's event, saying in part, just this weekend, he and Governor Pritzker refused to allow the local police department to give our officers backup at the scene of a law enforcement attack. A growing and violent crowd began throwing rocks at our law enforcement, yet their chief of patrol ordered their officers not to help. DHS is referring to a rumored internal CPD memo circulating online, indicated that the chief of patrol told officers responding to the Brighton Park shooting to stand down. Speaking to reporters this afternoon, CPD Superintendent Larry Snelling disputed the notion. He said not only were his officers on scene for hours, but they were even hit by tear gas.
Those who will tell you that our officers weren't there, say that to the 27 officers who were affected by the chemical agents that was deployed by federal agents.
According to Snelling, none of the officers who were hit by tear gas were seriously injured. He also says he's spoken to Homeland Security officials about how both agencies can work together when CPD is responding to an incident where federal agents are involved. Reporting at 35th in Michigan, Emmy Victor, WGN News.
So that's the thing, though. Thumping People says W military assistance for sure. W, because the police, I mean, this ain't shit police in Chicago that's not doing anything to help out. They're allowing our ICE and our federal agents to get assaulted and not stepping in. And actually, I have proof of this as well, too. This is just crazy. But tackling this, we're going to get to this. They just said that there's ICE-free zones. Now, in Arizona, that would mean a whole different thing, but we're talking about Chicago. Going to Chicago, they're saying that there's places where federal agents are not allowed. Now, let's look at this. Areas with limited federal jurisdiction. So there's two things being repeated here. There's the zone of death in Yellowstone National Park, right? Agents can't get here because it falls out of federal jurisdiction. Then we have Slab City, California. It's an unincorporated community built on concrete slabs of former military base. So we have this. It's very limited government oversight. And once again, National Park Services jurisdiction. So with all this that we're talking about, I think that there's very little places where government agents can go out to. It just doesn't make any sense. And Thumpy Weeble says they're on their own. They are supposed to assist them, but they left them all to themselves. Yes, you're definitely correct. They let them hanging, which means that if a citizen commits a crime, and we have doublespeak happening here, which the superintendent talks, but then he basically contradicts himself because he gets called out by somebody in the news media, which I'll present as well too, which is quite hilarious because he's got egg all over his face. I'll also cover this too. So it's very interesting when you have these people who are supposed to protect and represent us. They're not representing the government as far as these people that come into their city, federal agents, to help out in, see riots and don't assist, don't help or anything. Snell, the superintendent who oversees law enforcement there, we're talking about, the big man on top as far as like law enforcement, covers everything, right? So his jurisdiction is to cover what law enforcement can do in their city, stopping crime from happening in general, and even more. So we're going to get right into this, and I'll play this for you. Now, mind you, this might be Portland, actually, but it's still significant.
Watch out, watch out.
I think of ICE is the President Trump way of cleaning up and, giving the citizens, that the people that's here that want to be here, a chance to get in because they got so much connection, they throwing us away. We take us forever just to get one thing, and they just get everything. That's what I feel, but some of them are nice because they live in our area.
It's kind of bullshit, but
I don't know. Grandma sounds kind of base, if you ask me.
I don't know, man. I want to get into that.
So what I think that is terrible, I've been here like 5 months. I'm new in this city. I love the country. I love
I don't know that you're new from your accent at all.
the city. I love the Chicago style. But I think that Trump is not a good decision because I've been learning the history of the country, and I know that the Chicago is like an immigrant city, born like that. So it's something contradictory to send or make propaganda about the immigrants are bad or they are destroying our country. So it's a little ridiculous.
They are destroying our company. And here's the thing, though, we have motivation for this. So what flag was being raised while cars were burning in California? Was it the American flag? No, it wasn't, right? So if we look at this, this looks like foreign nationalists coming in, waving a foreign flag and burning our vehicles and such, right? This is happening in Chicago and everywhere else. I don't know what world this guy's living in right now, but then he talks about the history of America. We've had a very contentious history, but right now we're talking about everything in society happening in Chicago right now, right? Legislation that was passed, bills that were passed. We're going to talk about the Safety Act and everything else. You know, it's very funny. Yes, the Mexican flag was raised in California, 1,000%. And then that's the thing, though. If you think about this, you wouldn't even do this in a foreign country. Oh, she beat me to the punch. Yes. If you do this in a foreign country, you're not going to get that far. And that's the thing, though. Anytime you go to a foreign country, they're going to make you acclimate and adjust to their culture. You're not going to come to their culture and say, hey, you all need to speak English now in Argentina or anywhere else. To me, that just, it's nonsensical. You're not preserving culture. And I think that if we have traditions, the problem with illegal immigration is, and I would say, people are probably going to get pissed if I say this, even immigration, if you allow a lot of people coming in, they're going to warp the culture. We have traditions that we'd love to be intact, but guess what's going to happen? They're going to bring in their traditions, their language. We have this Super Bowl thing happening right now with this guy that used to wear dresses. Now he's saying he's going to do it in Spanish. To me, I didn't really want to tune in to Super Bowl for like bilingual hour. Like that doesn't make any sense. I don't even know if that's a word, but anyway, it just sounded good at the time. But that's the thing, though, is like people tuning in, like this is American culture. If I'm black, which I am, I could be looked at as Samoan or something else. And I came here and told everybody else that was watching this footage right now of me, they would say something like, who the hell are you to tell Americans what to do? I don't look like I could pass off as Americans. If I wanted to pass off as like Samoan or Mexican or black or anything else, I look kind of ambiguous as far as like my race. Like they look at me like I'm crazy. To be honest, and this is going to sound extremely racist for me to say, but when I think about Americans, I think about white people. I honestly do. And it's like, when I think about this, I don't think people are acclimating to culture, even if we think about Ebonics and how the educational system has failed us when it came to public schooling and how black people in black culture are slowly starting to degrade the language. Yes, this is going to sound extremely racist for me to say this, but how is this wrong for me to say this? And then black people then telling me I sound like I'm trying to talk white because I speak with great English and great grammar. My punctuation's great. Like it's like, why are you trying to sound white? So it's like now they're bastardizing me for acclimating to culture, which is like higher education, which we want, right? America should be the greatest hill on the mountain. I think that we should be the shining star on the hill when it comes to like world events, things like that. Of course, we've had our torrid past and history in the past, but I think that people should acclimate to our current status quo right now as far as a nation, meaning like actually we're losing a lot of traditions as we speak. Yeah, a lot of people probably told me I look like I was Samoan. And to me, that's the thing, though, is like, yeah, Thumping Wiggle points the fact that people are running away from their country. But that's the thing, though. They could have tried to change the country where they're at. They could have tried to do that, but they're trying to change our country. And I know that this is like a twofold issue of turning this into, but we're going to continue the footage.
And the National Guard, I feel like Chicago have been really violent in every neighborhood, even downtown. And they just doing too much. They shooting, they robbing. Can't even sit on your front porch no more. People just getting shot right in front of your face. So I do feel like he's doing the right thing.
Could be good and bad. I mean, crime might go down a little bit, but now people won't feel safe walking around. I don't know, man.
Back up! Back up! Who's that? Game on now! Hey! Let's go! Pushing back others. Behind you, Jim. Get back.
I'm staying back. I'm staying back.
Move back, please. Move back.
Okay, we're back. We're back.
Thank you.
I'm not doing anything.
I really love seeing leftists get put on their ass, to be honest with you, especially leftists that don't want to acclimate to our culture. And that's the thing, though. Progressive means that we're going to, I mean, in my mind, if you were to tell me this without thinking liberal, I would think that this would be something that would move forward in advancing society, right? But progressive just means degrading society. It's weird how they take this terminology and it's now the inverse of what they're talking about now.
It's clear.
Weird.
Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger.
It's funny we hear this, but on the other hand, we hear other things too that are contrary to this whole point, which
fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets.
Yeah, fighting it in the streets. So on one hand, so these are two different people, obviously, but this is all Democrat propaganda. Mind you, Brian Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, wanted to defund the police. So it's no wonder why, I mean, less than 10% approval rating, by the way, too, wanted to defund the police. And now he doesn't want the police active. So to me, I think that he was a bad candidate to have like police behind him, first of all. So to me, this doesn't really make any sense. I do love watching, and yes, Thumpy Weevil does make me happy to watch when these leftists get bodied on the pavement. It's just crazy just to see this. Yeah, he called for violence, plain and simple. He said, we're going to fight in the streets. What does that mean? He didn't beckon or plead for law enforcement to help out because obviously he's not letting law enforcement help out at all. To me, this is just nonsensical. For you to be somebody who is supposed to be the servant of I would say, the citizens in your city, you know, you're a public servant and you're not helping us out at all. You're actually doing a disservice. And I can actually show the outcry that's happened as a result. You know, I would say that he's a traitor to the nation. I'll say that even too.
This morning I heard Mayor Brandon Johnson say that the sentiment in the black community is waning. A lie. The sentiment is not waning. We are not okay with you taking our resources and giving them to people who don't live here.
Wait.
Stated before. You are preparing housing for them. One of the reasons that the city of Chicago was able to close 50 schools was because of the black flight. And the reason we had a black flight was because there is no affordable housing in this city. It is because the city of Chicago shut down the voucher system so that blacks who needed to get affordable housing could not. So they had no choice but to flee to other states. But now you found money for the migrants.
That's right.
We're calling foul. And then another thing you said was that the faith-based leaders were helping to bring around the sentiment. We haven't paid attention to faith-based leaders since Dr. Martin Luther King. And guess what? We're not listening to them now. We understand that they are bought and paid for. We understand that you control the narrative that they are trying to speak about. So let me just say this to you. We're not listening to them the same way we're not listening to you. What you're doing is not okay.
Damn, his own people are turning against him. These are people from his own city. This is like, these are Chicagoans literally turning against him. So the sentiment is not clear. I just want to make it known that I've seen video that the sentiment isn't all across the board from all these Chicagoans. There are a bunch of them there that do want to cause a lot of ruckus and violence, and they detest, I would say, ICE and federal agents and, you know, everybody else from getting in their city. To me, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because your city is wrought with crime. You have all this crime here. You have illegal immigrants there. You have people using resources from the city, from our federal government, everything else, and they're not even citizens from here. To me, really, that doesn't even make any sense. And here, I'll even present Stephen Miller with a really compelling example in case.
Signed executive order prohibiting use of city property for federal immigration operations.
By the way, that's a great example. On the Brandon Johnson, it's an example of how I was asked the question of, well, do you have any example that this behavior hasn't been condemned by Democrat officials? Well, I can go one better. The mayor of Chicago not only has failed to condemn the violent obstructive acts against ICE and law enforcement, but in the aftermath of 2 coordinated attempted murders of ICE officers through vehicle ramming attacks, he issued a no-go zone for ICE officers. What do we think would happen if, say, under a Democrat administration, Republican officials declared no-go zones for the FBI? What do you think the reaction to that would be? How many people do you think would be arrested and placed into jail over that? And so it's just important to understand these are not isolated incidents. If you can't see, then you don't want to see. In other words, if you can't see that since we've taken office, there has been a organized, systematized campaign to delegitimize, dehumanize, threaten, impede, obstruct, and physically assault ICE officers in their conduct of their duties, then I can't persuade you of it because you're choosing not to see what's right in front of your face.
So to me, that's just crazy. I mean, Stephen Miller's calling him out right there. Like, I mean, law enforcement isn't helping out. And I'll even play the clip from law enforcement looking stupid. Like they just have, it's just really embarrassing if I was him to utter this. We'll get to that clip pretty soon. But here you go.
Cars doing donuts, people jumping on a car, breaking windows, and later setting it on fire. This was the scene at 41st and Howe early Sunday morning. The Police Officers Association says there were 200 cars and an estimated 500 people gathered for the dangerous and illegal stunt show, but only 16 patrol cars available to respond.
We don't have the resources to handle an event that's that magnitude.
Wee Wynn, president of the Oakland Police Officers Association, says the department's pursuit policy also makes it challenging for officers to respond to such a large sideshow.
For example, people often use stolen vehicle to participate in sideshow. That's why you see some of these vehicles are set on fire because those are stolen vehicles that they use. But for one thing is we cannot pursue any of those stolen vehicles. Even though it's at 2 o'clock in the morning when there's very light traffic.
Oakland Police Department declined to do an interview, but says officers wrote 21 citations and towed 4 vehicles. Investigators are now working to identify additional cars involved in the illegal street show. Kathy Mill has lived here more than 30 years and says sideshows in Oakland are now getting out of control.
It's terrifying. It's a residential neighborhood.
And by the way, this is Oakland. So I see all these events happening as like a congruent, massive event that's happening, like as far as the Democrats are concerned.
The video I saw, the cars were, zooming around and these idiots were running in front of them, like it's part of a game. It's very noisy and it's very discouraging that the police can't prevent something like that or intervene.
Wynn says the department has 515 officers, the lowest staffing it's seen in 25 years, saying the department should have 877 officers. He also claims until the city can beef up staffing significantly, sideshows like this will continue to pose a risk to officers and the community.
By the way, I'll take the L for this. This is my fault when I don't clip footage to where it fills up the whole screen. It's the one I got wrong. Okay, let's continue.
We start with breaking news and the extraordinary power struggle playing out among the president, states, and the courts. Illinois just sued the Trump administration to prevent the deployment of Texas National Guard troops to the city of Chicago.
Good afternoon, Superintendent.
And here he is. This is what I was talking about when he has egg all over his face. What a very idiotic, horrible person that we have as well, too, as our mayor. Well, not our mayor, Chicago's mayor.
Any time, maybe you can clear this up too. At any time on Saturday, were CPD officers told by dispatchers to stand down?
Well, I don't know about them being told by dispatchers. There was some communication between boots on the ground, a supervisor, and the chief of patrol. So there was some communication by phone. There was something that was put out there that there was an internal message that came from the chief of patrol. That is absolutely not true. There is no internal message. There was a phone conversation. I'm not sure until we get to our after action, all of the exact language that was there, but I have had a conversation with the chief of patrol who was concerned about officers showing up on the scene. The chief of patrol at that time had no information that anyone was in danger. And let me just be clear about one other thing when it comes to these federal agents. These federal agents can handle themselves, all right? We've been out there and we've...
As he's got this smug look on his face. All I heard was, we're not helping out ICE. We're not going to protect ICE. They can handle themselves. Why should we step in? Because we can't interfere with their whole work at the same time. To me, this is very nefarious on its face, as President Trump and this Brian Johnson are going at it just back and forth. And this is crazy. It's almost like he wants to start a civil war.
President Trump posted to Truth Social. So take a look at this. He says, quote, Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. Mayor Brandon Johnson responding on social media saying, quote, this is not the first time Trump has tried to have a black man unjustly arrested. I'm not going anywhere, end quote. Then Governor Pritzker also taking to social media, writing, quote, I will not back down. Trump is now calling for the arrest of elected representatives, checking his power. What else is left on the path to full-blown authoritarianism?
So he's just going to talk about the past while Trump is currently in the future. You just say that you don't want to comply with federal the federal mandate or them to even help you with crime in your city. All you want to do is continue crime. Maybe that's why, Brian Johnson, so that way you could continue to get votes. Once again, nonsensical, doesn't make any sense. The guy's a horrendous mayor already. This is trash already. So law enforcement, they have to protect ICE. And of course, he says, I would say Superintendent Snelly says they have to protect ICE. But then on one side of his mouth, he says, well, we couldn't do this. We had people and we could have stepped in, but we didn't. He said that in the prior clip. Remember?
Let me first talk about the Trust Act. The Trust Act prohibits law enforcement in the state of Illinois from engaging in assisting federal agents when it comes to immigration enforcement. We abide by that law. The city ordinance, the Welcoming City Ordinance, goes a little further. It even prohibits us from asking someone their status. We abide by that ordinance because in law enforcement, we don't make the laws, we uphold them.
And let me show you what he's talking about. This is the Illinois Trust Act. So let me just hit over the key points. With the Trust Act, they can't have any collaboration without a warrant, no arbitrary detention, no assisting with raids or anything. Basically, this was passed for something that police couldn't already do anyways. They can't deal with illegal immigrants or anything like that, but they had to pass this because, of course, woke-ass Chicago wants to pass this Trust Act when really they didn't even need to. It's just police don't even do this anyways. But let's continue.
Let me explain how important it is to understand how difficult it is for our officers at times. Because when we look at the Trust Act and the Welcoming City Ordinance, sometimes there's a struggle when you're walking that line to make sure that you're not violating either one of those things, and at the same time enforcing the law the way that we're supposed to. One thing about law enforcement, I'll tell you this right now, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And we accept that. So I'm not going to stand here and make excuses.
As he just made a shit ton of excuses before, but let's continue.
Or pretend like the job is not a struggle, so we're going to make excuses about it. No, we're not going to do that. Again, these men and women go out there every single day, and these are the things that they fight through. And my leadership team wants to make sure that our officers don't get caught up in something where they end up in an investigation, fairly or unfairly, and they want to make sure that these officers are safe and that they can keep everyone else safe. So although we do not engage in immigration enforcement, we are going to enforce the law when the laws are violated.
Haven't seen that yet. What he's talking about, enforcing the law when laws are violated. Literally, we're having ICE agents being assaulted the whole time. And I don't hear of anybody helping them out, as far as the federal agents, the government coming in to assist, them sending in people from Texas. It's just ridiculous. Yes, he did definitely fail as a leader. To me, I think that when you're talking about leadership, we have to have proper leadership, meaning the city has to be safe. That's the reason why Trump is sending these people in, because it's just a war zone right now. Chicago's been a war zone for a very long time. And now when Trump's starting to help out a little bit, it's no, please don't help us out. We need our city crime ridden so I can be appointed to mayor again and voted in, because I like to give them, lip service so I can be voted in. It's just stupid. The clip I just played, our black culture doesn't even accept him by that clip alone. So I know there's more people like that based woman that I just played.
Chicagoans that I talk to, that I communicate with, mostly black and brown, actually, tell me that you don't seem to know the difference between illegal aliens and real Chicago citizens. They feel that you are siding with the illegal aliens over them in their communities. And okay. Sadly,
William, let's get to the question.
Let's get to the question. The real question is simply this. I don't know how to make it any more direct. An illegal alien from Nicaragua grabbed a woman on the north side last week, bashed her head into the sidewalk, knocked her unconscious, and raped her. If that had been your wife, Stacey.
Okay, all right, we're not going to answer it. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, William.
All right. Would you want ICE to deport her?
All right. Let's move on.
Yes or no?
Let's move on.
Answer the question as a man, not as mayor, but as a man. Would you want
thanks. Thank you.
to deport that rapist?
Didn't want to answer the question. Couldn't answer the question just because it's too. No, we must have this continued. No, please don't let ICE stop these horrific things from happening. That's right.
Tamon?
Okay,
Mayor.
That's the answer. That's the answer for real Chicago.
Mayor, sorry for being late. The traffic's bad. Maybe the feds could help. You're not blaming me for the traffic, are you, Tamon? Watch it. All right.
Yeah, you see what he was doing? Like this is what we're talking about right now. Yeah, BLC, yes, definitely. It's just crazy. That's the thing, though. He's being told about the pain of the citizens of the city, and then he just wants to move because it makes him look bad. It makes him look inept as a leader right now. It just makes him look incompetent. To me, I think that if I was faced with this, I'd have to face some. I'd have to answer some hard questions, and I'd have to bite some bullets, especially if my leadership was displaying incompetence at the time. I just don't understand this. When you have leadership like this that fails, I'm just thinking, okay, you must definitely want a civil war, because this isn't something that everybody wants. You know, nobody wants a city that's going to just be burning down, which this looks like we're probably going to have a civil war at some point, because the police aren't helping. They're not protecting our federal agents, federal officers. They're not protecting anybody else. They're not going to protect the National Guard out there because, well, why should I get involved in any of this? Right? Really crazy stuff, right? To me, I just don't understand it. Let me check this out real quick.
Good morning.
So getting back to federalized military intervention in the Chicago area, and given the reporting and the underreporting of the incidents of riotous.
Yeah, this is something that I don't really think I went over. This is a video I didn't play. So usually when I do a little quick video podcast, or, you know, these little things that I'm doing right now, some of these clips may be out of order, but I mean, I'm right on point so far. Yeah. So there's a lot of issues that we're having right now. So Frankie Too Sweet says, I don't think it's even that. It's more of a Nero Caligula side. That's horrible. Caligula. I think you meant Caligula. Maybe Caligula was horrible. The guy was horrible. It was one of the worst. And yes, it did turn to civil. Nero was bad too. But yeah, it's really bad.
Good morning.
So getting back to federalized military intervention in the Chicago area, and given the reporting and the underreporting of the incidents of riotous behavior at the Broadview Ice Center, and the ICE raid of South Shore apartment complex overrun by Trinidad Aragua activity, your foundational Black constituents want to know how setting them up as collateral damage with the federal authorities furthers in a struggle for fugitive illegal immigrants, furthers your ideal of non-divisive Black and brown coalition.
This is a good question. I want to get to, maybe I didn't even see this clip yet, but I really want the answer to this question. What he just asked was, because his actions are really divisive, he's not going to help federal agents. He's not going to help ICE. He's not going to help the National Guard or any of these people that are assisting with providing safety and actually continuing the duties of their job, aiding and getting rid of, you know, we would say illegal immigrants in this city that aren't, you know, so there are people that take resources, right? And then there are people that don't add to our civilization. They actually take away, right? These two things can be true. And that's the thing. These people come in with ICE coming in, the federal agents, they're there to help you out. And if you're not helping them and not aiding them, the foundational Blacks that the guy was talking about are going to take casualties. They're going to take, you know, be victimized by this crime of illegal immigrants, things like that. That's what he's really asking here, is like, if you're not going to help your own people, what are you going to do about this issue that we have of illegal immigrants? Because you're refusing help, you're refusing aid. What are you going to do? To me, that's really what he asked, and I want to get to the answer of this. Frankie Too Sweet says, see, federalized military behavior is a buzzword for people who don't understand what MPs actually do. And assisting civilian police matters. Yes, a lot of people, frankly, don't understand any of this. But let's get to his answer, if he even has one.
Donald Trump declared war on Chicago.
Wait, hold on. Donald Trump did not declare war on Chicago. If anything, he's declaring war on the people who are illegal immigrants that are not adding to our nation. They're taking resources from us. And before anybody in this conversation or chat or anybody tells me illegal aliens don't collect, you know, money or resources because there are not any books, any paper, anything. You're talking about crime, changing culture. They're not adapting or acquiescing or I would say adapting to our culture that we have, right? So whenever you have two people from even two religions or two different belief. One person has to convert the other. They're bringing in their belief systems. They're not acclimating to our culture. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to tell us to acclimate to their culture, like Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl telling us we have to learn Spanish because we're out of luck, because he's definitely not doing it. Like, this is what we're going to get. I don't want more of this in our nation. Yes, it sounds racist to liberals, but it's true. How am I wrong about this? And then he says, you know, well, you shouldn't, music doesn't have anything to do with learning Rosetta Stone. Well, you're in America, bro. The Super Bowl is like an American tradition that we've had as a pastime. I don't watch the NFL. I don't watch the Super Bowl. I probably disappointed a lot of people out there. I'm a pro athlete in two different sports, and I'm more of like a guy that watches politics and gaming and podcasts with relationship dynamics. But when it comes to this, like, I'm not really into sports, believe it or not, unless it's like strongman or bodybuilding, things that I did. But I wear a jersey without my name on it. To me, I didn't want to feel like, I don't want to say this, but I guess I'm going to say it anyways. I feel like if you're wearing a jersey with another guy's name on it, how is that not some more stuff? Like, I have a jersey actually with my name on it that somebody else custom made for me because I'm a pro athlete. You know, why shouldn't I even have a jersey with my name on it? And anyways, let's get back to this.
That's what he did. What the Trump administration is doing is intentionally fomenting chaos. They're doing that on purpose because this president doesn't respect the rule of law, and he certainly doesn't respect working people. Now look, Black Hawk helicopters landing on top of apartment buildings, that's a choice and a decision that the president of the United States of America made. Those are his actions. The federal government sending in ICE, which, by the way, has a budget that only compares to the United States military and China's military.
But blacks are getting caught up in that.
That's a decision. Well, you're absolutely right. They're being caught up in Trump's war on Chicago.
I don't understand this. They're not being caught up in Trump's war. He keeps deflecting and saying this is Trump's issue. No, it's not. Whenever you have illegal immigrants in your city that are creating crime and not adding to our country. When I say adding, it's like adding to tradition, backing our plays, doing any of this. And you have illegal immigrants that come in and grape your people, like I just showed you guys in the last footage of this guy asking a question. He said this person had their head bashed against the concrete and was taken advantage of. What if this was your loved one? And he wouldn't even answer the question. To me, ICE isn't doing this. You know, this is the thing, though. ICE isn't graping people. It's immigrants. There are these people that are coming in to our nation and creating chaos and discourse, like dissidents. It just really doesn't make any sense. But he's blaming Trump. Like this is everything what Frankie's talking about, what I voted for. I voted for ICE to do their job. I voted for illegal immigrants to get out of our country. Like, get the out of our country. Get out, because we have guys now like Mayor Brandon Johnson, you know, here, and then we have the Somali pirate in the other city. Like, this doesn't really make any sense, because if you think about it, look at the UK right now with immigration. How's that going for them? We want to prevent this. If we have enough Brandon Johnsons get into power as mayor, guess what we're going to have? We're going to have another UK, but this is going to be America. And then what he's doing is he's saying that Trump is fomenting issues when really he's inciting a civil war. That's what he's doing.
Chicago. That's what this is about. It's about Donald Trump and his lack of regard for working people, and particularly black and brown people. And so what am I doing? I'm using every single tool that's available to me to make sure that.
So if the president of the United States sends in resources like ICE agents, federal agents, National Guard, other resources, how is this not a tool that you could use, but you're saying you're using every tool of it? Like, he's not really making a lot of sense right now, but I let's just continue.
We protect people, all of Chicago. Donald Trump also said that the money that we're spending for black student success, he doesn't want that. He also said, let's not deliver on the resources for the Red Line extension, which has been a fight for black Southsiders for decades.
Why is that the fight? Why is that more important than illegal immigrants creating crime and raping your women and doing all this? Like, you're on redlining right now. Meanwhile, your city's getting shot up. There are people getting shot every day. There's shootouts. Gangs are having a field day there, but you're concerned about redlining. He's trying to make this a black issue and trying to appeal to black people and black culture. When I just played the footage of the angry black woman, actually 2 base black women that were saying, no, this is stupid. We're not falling for this.
We got it done. And he's holding that up. That's what the President of the United States of America is doing, because he clearly has animus towards working people and particularly black and brown folks. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we continue.
So he's, in a sense, he's trying to paint Trump as a racist, or the guy who was an Austrian painter. This is what he's trying to do, trying to say that he has animus towards black and brown people. No, like, it just so happens to be that a lot of illegal immigrants aren't white people. That's the thing, though. If we had a Canadian immigration problem, yeah, I would understand. Then you could say that. But it's like, they just happen to be mostly black and brown people that are immigrants. A lot of brown, actually, mainly, you know? So it's like, when he says this, he's really muddying the waters here and poisoning the well and trying to paint Trump as a racist here. With this rhetoric, it's not working on black people, on a lot of black people in the city, because they see passes. Now, I'm talking about the conservative black people who are on the right side of things, not your liberal, uneducated EBT. I don't want to go on with the rest of the stereotypes. Those people,
brown folks. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we continue to invest in these very communities and that we push back against the militarized occupation of not just our city, but cities across America.
Yeah, he's actually deflected. He's not taking any of the blame, any responsibility. There's no accountability here. He's just saying, but Trump's doing bad. Trump's doing, like, this is just all bad, right? So Frankie Too Sweet says, my parents are immigrants from Cuba and came in the 80s, learned English and driving license in 1 year. No excuse. Yes, no excuses. Which tells me your parents probably contributed to society and added to society instead of robbed from society and pillaged and took and added to our prison system that we have. To me, I think that this is extremely important to point out. Trump is not racist. He's a lot of things that liberals hate, which is, I mean, he backs a lot of tradition. There are some things that are in some administrations that I don't like, but all of this that's happening right now, except for this list that everybody get off of Bondi's ass, because I don't really think it's coming out. That's neither here nor there. But I think that when it comes down to everything that we voted for, I think that I'm happy. I'm fairly happy with everything right now. Now, on the other spectrum of things, he's being fought. He's being fought like tooth and nail by Newsom in California. He's being fought by this guy, Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Illinois, who's refusing to cooperate and participate. And Trump has said, you know, I think this guy should get locked up. Trump said it himself in the playback that I had. So actually, because we can revisit this real quick. Trump has said that he needs to be locked up. And I truly do believe that he does need to be locked up. I mean, anytime you have a treasonous act, I mean, this is an act of treason, I think, when you're not protecting our agents that were sent there to protect the civilians, city, everybody. The agents are there to even protect the law enforcement there, even.
And Trump posted to Truth Social. So take a look at this. He says, quote, Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. Mayor.
And then that's the thing, though. I agree with him wholeheartedly, 100%. I think Mayor Brian Johnson should be locked up. He's failing to protect and provide resources. He's costing lives, actually, in the process of not doing this. And in the process of costing lives of doing this, it's like you're not mitigating the damage that's being created by your own citizens, and you're losing trust. So we have this act that was passed, and it's not being backed by anybody. It's not being backed by anybody. And the person that's supposed to back this whole thing is not at the helm. The captain's not at the helm, especially when it comes to the Trust Act. None of this is being shown, especially because they did this to try to make citizens feel safe. Well, I think it was disingenuous to begin with. The Illinois Trust Act was supposed to help out with people. It's never helped out because, first of all, police can't really detain individuals for being illegal immigrants. That's an ICE thing. They can't stop and ask immigrants, if they're citizens or not. That's what this Trust Act is, when really police weren't even doing that in the beginning. So there's a lot of hands right now moving. And when I talk about this, the hands that are moving are like Brian Johnson and his constituents are refusing to aid in ICE doing their duty and jobs. And really he's saying, well, we're going to be hands off and let ICE handle this. Well, you're not protecting them. I don't think our federal agents feel safe there. And if they don't feel safe, how do your citizens feel? Your citizens definitely don't feel safe. It's just crazy. It's just really nonsense. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I know it wasn't really long, but it's short and sweet. I really wanted to cover this because I think it was a really hot topic. I think this guy's ignorant. Brian Johnson is horrendous.
And Johnson responding.
And then I just wanted to show his face. This is the face of the guy who isn't helping his city out. He's literally stabbing his citizens in the back right now. Right now, they voted for this guy who was like below 10% approval rating and was all defund the police. Like, to me, I mean, I could have told the Chicagoans, like, you didn't see this coming. The guy was defund the police. And then when it came time for police to get into action to protect the citizens and protect ICE agents and also protect federal agents and National Guard, he's going to be like, oh, well. So he's defunding them still right now. He's defunding their actions. He's defunding them financially. He's doing all this. And it's like, this is just bad. He's wanting to create a civil war. To me, this is really treasonous. This is extremely treasonous. Gavin Newsom is like borderline treasonous. All this is happening. It's just ridiculous. So I strongly believe that he should never be voted anywhere again or be in politics. This guy's horrible. Brian Johnson should be out or locked up. Seriously locked up. And that's my final take. I think that Brian Johnson should be locked up. Gavin Newsom should, I don't know who votes for him, because when I meet people from California, this is like the random people, because I work as a therapist at my other job. Like 2 days a week, I go there and work. Some of the people are in the Valley for vacation, and I meet them and they're like, oh, I'm on vacation. Talking to these people, and they're from California. None of them. And I've asked them, and I know that you shouldn't talk about politics at work. I've asked them, and even people, running around daily, I bump into them or know people or whatever, right? Anybody who I've ever asked that was in Arizona, yeah, hey, did you vote for Gavin Newsom? Just curious. I've never met one. Have you guys met one? I've never met him. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know who's voting for Gavin Newsom. I don't know who is it all. Yeah, at the least ousted from power and shame forever. I think, ousted. I don't know if the shame's going to happen, because if Brian Johnson isn't ashamed of his actions right now, or even the police superintendent is ashamed of his actions, like, I don't know how they live with themselves at night, being treasonous individuals living on American soil. This doesn't make any sense. So anyways, just a quick update. I have a debate on Jubilee on the 19th. I'll be debating another Brian. And this, actually, I think his name's Brian Johnson too. Yeah, Brian Johnson, actually. Tech billionaire Brian Johnson is going to be debating against me at a Jubilee event, and it's going to be on the Surrounded. And then I have a debate against Radical Coder, I think Friday or Saturday on Sarah the Raging Tomatoes channel. The prompt is stay-at-home dads are way better than stay-at-home moms, or way more optimal than stay-at-home moms, which you know, Radical Coder is going to lose because it's the dumbest prompt ever. And Sarah said that he doesn't turn down debates. Obviously, if you're going to pick a losing battle, that's this bad. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. If you guys see my X or my Instagram, there's a Give, Send, Go for the, I think it's the funds, so you guys can help support me, your local debater. Go destroy this Brian Johnson guy in California, this tech billionaire that wants to stay 17 forever. You guys have probably heard of him. There's a documentary called Don't Die that is all about this guy. So I'll be debating him and his tech hubris. It's really what I want to fight. So anyways, you guys take care. I'll have another one soon. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate all of your wonderful, amazing support.